Your voice, your vote. Newswatch 16's live election coverage.
Good evening, I'm Scott Schaefer. It is 8 o'clock across the state of Pennsylvania and polls have just closed. We'll be keeping an eye on results as they come in here on WNEP2 and WNEP Plus. Thanks for joining us. Great to be with you. Primary election night 2025. Joined tonight by our political analysts, Corey O'Brien and Jim Bognett. Corey, the former Lackawanna County Commissioner, Democrat. Jim Bognett, the former two-time Republican nominee for Congress. Gentlemen, welcome back. A lot of interesting seats up for grabs tonight. A lot of interesting storylines as well. We'll get to a lot of them, but I guess the first storyline is the voter turnout today, gentlemen. Pretty low by all accounts across the state. Why do you suppose that is?
Well, it's a municipal election. It's a primary. Generally, the first municipal election primary after a presidential race has the lowest turnout of any election. So I wouldn't expect that to change today. The other thing I would say is there doesn't seem to be one galvanizing issue statewide on the ballot to drive turnout. So I would expect very low turnout today.
Yeah, and turnout's really predicated and dictated by the local candidates, right? So it's their base of support, and typically local candidates have a smaller base of support, so therefore a lower, smaller turnout. But it's interesting, I agree with Jim that there really is not a statewide or national issue that the folks on the local level care that much about, and there aren't a lot of local issues right now that the voters are caring about. I think maybe in 2 years and some of the county stuff that might change, but right now I think it's pretty quiet.
When we were on for Newswatch 16 at 7, Corey, I'll stay with you. You mentioned that you thought one of the most important things to watch tonight would be the ballot questions. There are a few of them in a number of communities.
Yeah, I think there's several ballot questions that are very interesting. Maybe the highlight of this election season, quite frankly, are some of these ballot questions. If you think about Hazleton, as an example, they want to appoint a government study commission. I'm not a huge fan. They've had a government study commission in the past. I'm not a big fan. If you're from Lackawanna County or you follow me in the past, you'll know I'm not a government study commission person, but I'll tell you, it's interesting as to what they want to do. So right now, they want authority to raise taxes over 30 mills. And if they form the government study commission, the government study commission comes back and says, yes, you can raise taxes above that 30 mills, they could go up to 1% in an earned income tax. So it's really this tax question. You know, do we want our local government spending more? Do we want them taxing us more or not? So you have candidates, I think there's 12 candidates running for 7 spots on that study commission, and they've chosen sides. They're either going to raise taxes or they're not going to raise taxes. It's really difficult in the local level. When we get into this tax struggle, you know, I'm not a tax person. I don't like seeing taxes go up. In the same token, expenses are going this way. In the private sector, expenses are going this way. Government expenses go this way. How do you cover it? You can only cut so much. I think a lot of these local officials find themselves in that situation. Do I think that the study commission will be approved? Maybe they'll be approved to study. But do I think that the residents of Hazleton are going to vote to raise their taxes? I find that unlikely.
You know, it's interesting you brought up Hazleton. I graduated from Hazleton Area High School and was born and raised there. And I'll tell you, my father is a property owner in Hazleton, and there is a lot of opposition to raising taxes in Hazleton. We have severe fiscal problems in Hazleton. A lot of that brought on by the pension and health care obligations from employees in the 80s, 90s, 2000s. So I think there's a lot of opposition to raising taxes. But the problem in these low turnout elections, as Corey pointed out, is a small number of people can vote for a study commission that ends up costing the citizens of Hazleton millions and millions of dollars.
And if we turn, Scott, to look at Nanticoke, I mean, in Nanticoke, they have a ballot initiative to eliminate term limits. Think about it. You have folks in council who can be on council for 3 terms, and now they want to eliminate that so they can serve more terms. This is crazy. Only in northeastern Pennsylvania do we eliminate or have a ballot question eliminating term limits. This is the second time this has come up. First time it was shot down a few years ago, and now it's back again because people want to perpetuate themselves in office. I'm just not necessarily sure that I'm a believer that just being a lifer in local government politics is that good for anybody. You need some fresh blood every once in a while. You need some people with some new ideas, and you can't let people just get totally entrenched. So it's going to be an interesting one and an interesting night in Nanticoke for sure.
As far as the ballot questions go as well, there's 4 townships in Lycoming County: Cascade, Gamble, Mifflin, Porter, all voting on the issuance of licenses to conduct small games of chance. 4 townships in Lycoming County, all with that same question. In Laceyville, Wyoming County, do you favor granting liquor licenses for the sale of liquor in the borough of Laceyville? Another one that'll be interesting to watch.
This is only in Pennsylvania. I can't imagine this happens anywhere else. But in order to think about this, you have to have a ballot initiative allowing small games of chance. So to do bingo at the local fireman's picnic, to do bingo for your church, to raise money for the school group that's looking to go on a school trip, you need a license for small games. I mean, this is as silly as it gets in my mind. I don't know why the state legislature hasn't just allowed this. This is like no alcohol on Sunday kind of stuff. This is just like these things that linger with us. No one really knows why, but they're there. This is something that should definitely, I would hope, is approved by the local municipalities. It just does not seem to make sense to me.
You saw it on the map. I'm sorry, Jim, saw it on the map. There are 4 relatively rural townships in Lycoming County.
Well, that's a key point, rural. You know, it's interesting. You could pick up your phone and on DraftKings or, some of the other apps, gamble on anything across the country. But yet we need to do this. On the other hand, rural areas tend to be more conservative. And there's, I think, a strong countervailing current that people have seen what gambling does to certain people, and there's a lot of opposition, especially from people that have friends and families that have dealt with gambling problems. So it's, I don't think we can count one way or another. These are actual real elections where people are going to go out, and in small townships, you might see 200 or 300 people deciding whether small games of chance are allowed.
And Jim, when we talked at 7, you referred to the races in Luzern County. You thought that would be the one thing to watch tonight.
Well, the reason I'm so homed in on it is, number one, it's where I'm from, but number two, it is a bellwether county, Luzern County. President Trump won it here in 2024 on the way to becoming president. Rob Bresnahan won it on the way to unseating Matt Cartwright. I think why it's interesting is because you have 2 candidates cross-filed for judge to see what the turnout is. Is it more on the Dem side? Is it more on the Republican side? You also have really intense county council races. I want to see, do more Republicans vote or more Democrats vote? Is that a bellwether of what happens in the fall? I also want to see in the Republican primary, do the 3 insurgent candidates have a good showing? Or do the 4 incumbents plus the one they picked up on their ticket, do they preserve their seats? To me, that's going to tell you what direction the Republican Party in Luzern County is going.
And listen, I'm not even sure it's a bellwether. Luzern County used to be a bellwether. Now I think it's a Republican county. I mean, Donald Trump, I think, won the county twice, not once.
3 times.
3 times. So this is a county that is not only trending Republican, I think it's Republican. I'm not sure. It used to be a bellwether. Maybe that's the way the Commonwealth's going. I think Lackawanna County is probably, my home county is maybe a little bit more of a bellwether these days than even Luzern, which I would agree with you used to be. But now I think it's Republican. I'd be very surprised tonight if Republicans don't do well in Luzern County.
Well, that's a fair point, but I will say Republicans, of which I'm one, we only passed Democrats in registration in Luzern County in October of 2024. So we're seeing the registration catch up with the voting patterns.
No doubt.
Interesting. The 2 candidates that have cross-filed for judge in Luzern County, Buffalino and Mosca, do you see a possibility that one each wins on a ticket and they match up again in the fall, or do you think somebody's going to sweep them?
That is probably the conventional wisdom that happens. Now, what you have interesting is Buffalino, my understanding from the ads I've seen, is presenting himself as a Republican. And then you have the state Republican Party coming out and saying Buffalino was the chairman of the Democratic Party in Luzern County. Don't believe him when he says he's a Republican. So it's going to be very interesting to see in the Republican primary, does Buffalino get purchased there, or does the Republican money that was spent out of Harrisburg get the message across that this guy was the chairman of the Democratic Party in Luzern County? It's going to be really interesting to see where that goes.
And listen, Mark Buffalino was the chairman of the Democratic Party. I don't think anybody can really dispute that who knows anything about politics in Luzern County. So it's just kind of a fact. Now he's a Republican. I like him. I like both candidates in this race. I think they both do a very good job. But nobody is really necessarily buying the I'm a Republican. I mean, I don't know that's gonna win the day. It's just going to be a matter of getting out to vote. Turnout matters in these races. Can you mobilize your people to vote? And what's your message been? At the end of the day, people want to vote for people who they like and who knock on their doors. And that's what local elections are about. We're going to see who did the better job, who worked the hardest. The person who worked the hardest, I think, is going to win tonight. Now, listen, if you're a Republican, you're probably voting for the person who you know's been a Republican their entire life versus somebody who hasn't. But we'll see. That's why we have elections.
Especially for judge.
Especially for judge.
One open judge seat in Luzern County, 2 open judge seats in Monroe County, and 5 candidates cross-filed for those 2 open seats. Newswatch 16's Emily Kress is live for us at the Monroe County Courthouse in Stroudsburg. She's covering the judge race tonight. Good evening, Emily.
Hey, Scott. Yeah, the polls closed just a little bit ago, and now the people of Monroe County are just one step closer to deciding who will sit on the bench here at the Monroe County Courthouse in Stroudsburg. Now, the 5 candidates who are vying for those 2 seats are Patrick Best, Janet Jackson, Jamie Levy, Kelly Lombardo, and Alexander Merrick. The 2 seats are open because the current judges, Margarita Patty Worthington and Arthur Zulik, are set to retire. Now, all of these candidates have extensive experience as lawyers, covering a wide variety of cases from criminal to civil. And now the Court of Common Pleas judge is a 10-year term. Many of their campaigns have promised to be impartial and listen to the facts of the cases before them to best serve the people of Monroe County. Now, again, tonight's winners will be on the ballot in November. We aren't sure just how many of them will make it on, but we will watch those numbers come in, and we will check in with some of those campaigns later on tonight. Emily Kress, Newswatch 16, reporting live in Monroe County.
Thanks very much, Emily. 5 candidates for 2 open seats in Monroe County. That's a pretty hefty race when you have 2 open judge seats in one county at one time. The fact that President Judge Worthington is retiring makes me personally feel old, because I think I was sitting here the night she got elected. That's a story for another time. 2 open seats. 2 of these candidates have their election night gatherings together in the same spot. Does that tell you something, you former candidates for office? Do you think are they a ticket in Monroe County? That would be Jackson and Levy.
I think, listen, I think you certainly build bonds, you build relationships with those people who are out on the campaign trail with you. I'm not sure if they're a ticket or not, but clearly they're certainly running some kind of unified campaign. If not, they just share a lot of the common supporters, so they're doing one party. It's probably efficient for them because they probably have a lot of crossovers from a support standpoint. But, you know, these people are in the trenches, and I want to take a second just to thank everybody who's running. They're hard jobs. This is local politics. Local politics in northeastern Pennsylvania. They're building roads, or they're not building roads, right? They're handling police forces. If you're a judge, you're handling all the most sensitive issues that people have, and people want fairness in the judiciary. And when you look at judges, there's no position that plays a more important role in our democracy than an impartial, fair judge. These are really important decisions, and I just hope that everybody takes it super seriously with respect to that, because you're making decisions that are going to have significant impact.
The polls just closed a little more than 13 minutes ago. Do not see any results coming in yet, but when they do, you'll be the first to know. I always love those first results where you get, somebody's up 52 to 46. We get excited.
Earth-shattering.
Of course, with the turnout tonight, that might be the final tally. Kidding.
Well, and then they lose 140 to 56.
Yeah, right.
All the conventional wisdom gets...
We have also some contested races on the statewide level for Superior Court, both on the Republican ticket. 2 candidates, Batista and Wheatcraft, for Superior Court. Do you think the endorsed candidate is the favorite in that race, Jim?
Well, Wheatcraft is the endorsed candidate by the Republican Party of Pennsylvania, so there will be some significant money and advertising spent on her behalf. But I will say Maria Batista has run statewide before, so she has some lingering name ID from previous elections. So I think that's going to be a little bit of a battle there. But in these races, you often see that money spent on advertising does translate into votes in a low turnout election.
I'm told we have some results to share. Oh my God, here we go on this race. There's already, they have exactly the same total.
It's amazing.
That really is. Well, I guess there's a 4-vote difference there. Well, that endorsement is making a difference, Jim. You're absolutely right. 4-vote difference here in the early results, but that's fabulous. We got some results in early. and 28,000 votes counted already. Again, this is statewide for Superior Court of Pennsylvania. For Commonwealth Court, Josh Prince is from Berks County. Matthew Wolford is from Erie County, and Wolford is the endorsed candidate here.
Well, this is very interesting because, again, you have the endorsed candidate, the Republican Party that has endorsed, but then you have Prince, who's ran before, again, and is viewed as being very much of a MAGA conservative. So, again, where does the electorate go? Do they go with the MAGA conservative in a low turnout election where ideological people tend to vote more, or does the endorsed candidate pull it out, which is what usually happens? I think this is going to be the most interesting statewide race.
Do you think that then, and here we go, Wolford over Prince, and again, very early results. We don't even know where these are from, but Wolford has the early advantage by a couple thousand there. Again, there'll be plenty more votes counted in this race before all is said and done. There's I guess a sense out there among the Democrats, certainly, that the MAGA conservative is easier for them to take on in the fall than, say, a moderate Republican. Thoughts?
That sense does exist, but the #1 MAGA conservative is sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, so I'm not sure if that's really true. I think that people sometimes think that the old paradigm of moderates have an easier time winning. I think that's out the door. I think most elections in our polarized country, at least at the federal level, are ideological contests, and they're turnout contests. And whichever side can more motivate its base tends to win. So that may not be as true tonight in local elections. In local elections, I agree with Corey, it's who works the hardest, but I do think Democrats feel that way. I don't think they're right when they feel that way.
Is there another wing of the Republican Party than the MAGA wing?
I would say that President Trump is by far the leader of the Republican Party, and the MAGA wing of the Republican Party represents most Republican voters today. I will say there's some differences on policy. Some feel more strongly about cultural issues. Some feel more strongly about economic issues. Some feel differently about foreign policy. But, I really laugh when I read these stories about the Civil War in the Republican Party. President Trump won the Civil War in the Republican Party. He is by far the strongest leader of the Republican Party I've ever seen. So I think that the party is a MAGA party today. It'll be interesting to see how that develops throughout his second term.
Listen, I totally agree with it. I think the MAGA party is the Republican Party. It is MAGA. The question is, who are the Democrats? That's the question. Because liberal Democrats from California don't win in Pennsylvania. Bob Casey found that out. Matt Cartwright found that out. When you chase a Democratic Party who wants to talk about what bathroom you can use and isn't talking about the issues that people care about the most, what do you expect? What do you expect? And a Bob Casey and a Matt Cartwright found themselves in that untenable position. They have a president of the United States who's from here, who's talking in very liberal terms because he's from here, and he knew that he already had a strong base here, so he was trying to appeal to more of the liberal party. So he was talking the liberal message. It just doesn't play in Pennsylvania. So I don't know who the up-and-comer is in Pennsylvania Democratic politics, but the Democratic Party has to find a voice. First of all, has to find a message that wins. And it's no longer going to be about Donald Trump. He's leaving in 3 years. So the Democratic Party's got to figure out who it is, because the liberal side of that will not win in Pennsylvania. That was proven last year. It'll be proven again. If you go too liberal, you got a problem. The bigger problem for the Democrats is that this MAGA Republican Party is now just not the ultra-conservative, not MAGA, it's the whole party now. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, his first 100 days, a lot of Republicans liked it. They might not like the tariff message and how, the market was fluctuating a little bit. But overall, they like it. They like the message. So what is the Democratic message? If Matt Cartwright runs again against Bresnahan, what's the message? That he's moderate? And that Bresnahan's, a MAGA Republican? Well, Donald Trump's won here. That message isn't going to work. You're just going to sell other people on Bresnahan. If you run as a liberal, you get beat because you're too liberal for your district. So it's going to be interesting. Matt Cartwright tried to do his best to kind of come to the middle throughout this, but you're in a difficult position. If he runs again, or if somebody else comes up and tries to run, what is the message? You have to tie into the national message. Jim and I have both had to raise money in Washington, D.C. We both had to raise money across the country. You have to raise money from those folks in California to run a successful campaign for Congress, believe it or not, in this district. You have to be doing that every single day. When you do that, you're taking positions, and those positions typically are liberal positions that may not bode well for your local district.
Scott, may I interject on that?
Please.
The other thing that I think I agree 100%, the Democrat Party today is lost at sea. We used to say they're on their back foot. I think they're on their butt, to be honest with you. You've seen no effective pushback against President Trump. They seem like they're out of ideas. But one thing I want to identify, this week Jake Tapper's book came out about President Biden's physical condition and mental acuity in the White House. And anyone like Matt Cartwright or other Democratic candidates that has served before in the 2026 election, they're going to have to answer the question, when did they know Joe Biden's mental acuity had gone downhill? When did they realize that he wasn't making the decisions in the White House? And how come they didn't speak up about that? I think that's going to be very interesting to see over the next year going into the midterms, how they answer that question and how they pivot forward from Joe Biden.
Where was Joe Biden on Election Day? Anybody remember? He was here. He was on Montage Mountain, Election Day or the day before, at Montage, with all the Democrats on the stage. Did they know then? Right? So I mean, it's a tough position. Democrats are in a very tough position. But new leadership is going to require new, fresh ideas and not just some recycled stuff. It's going to have to be a new vision with people who talk no nonsense, who are going to go in there, who are going to tell the truth, and are going to clean things up. And guess what? Working together is not a bad thing here. People have to work together. And that's what we expect as voters. We don't expect all this bickering and this fighting. We expect people to go to Washington, D.C. and get it done. And stop the bickering, stop the investigation, stop the he said, she said stuff, and just get it done.
All right. We have talked a lot about the parties, and we already have our teaser for the 26th show right off the bat. I want to talk a little bit more about what's going on with the Democrats in Lackawanna County. That is very interesting, but we're going to take a break and we're going to come back. Some results are already beginning to come in here on WNEP2. So our night is just getting started. 8:22 in the p.m. We'll be right back here on The Deuce.
Consumer Cellular, we pride ourselves on giving you fast, reliable, nationwide coverage at up to half the cost of the leading carriers. But don't worry, we've got more than that going for us. Like this beautiful store in Arizona, for example. It's the perfect place for me to tell you a little bit more about our phones and how they can become your phones. You name it, we probably got it. We have the top smartphones from all the major companies. If it's state-of-the-art cameras you want with space-age metal housing, we got them. If you want a smartphone with lots of bells and whistles but won't break the bank, we've got that too. We even have a flip phone, like the Iris Flip. We even have watches. I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have one of these amazing stores in my town yet? Can I get these phones sent to me?
Yes, you can.
Is it easy?
Easy as pie.
Plus, new customers can save $25 when they switch today. Call 1-800-918-5352. Or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
She knows what she's talking about. Pick up the phone.
NetCredit is here to say yes, even when other lenders won't. Apply online in minutes and get funds deposited the next business day or sooner. NetCredit. Credit to the people.
Thanks to WNEP viewers, these pets have new homes. We'll feature a new pet to adopt from shelters around our region every Friday on Newswatch 16 at 5:30. 16 to the rescue, only on WNEP.
Newswatch 16 this morning keeps you prepared for whatever the day brings.
We appreciate you being with us this morning.
Working overnight to get you the latest breaking news.
Crews from Susquehanna, Lackawanna, and Wyoming counties respond.
Stay ahead of the storm with Weather Impact Alert Days.
This will move north and east.
Start with the team you trust on Newswatch 16 this morning.
Refreshing.
Newswatch 16 this morning. Weekdays starting at 4:30 a.m. and streaming on WNEP+.
Your voice, your vote. Newswatch 16's live election coverage.
Welcome back to our live election coverage here on WNEP2 and WNEP+. Let's talk about the race for mayor of Scranton. Incumbent Democrat Paige Cognetti running for a second full term. She is challenged on her own ticket, and there are also 2 Republicans on the GOP side of the ticket waiting to battle it out against her in the fall. One of the 2 is Lynn Lebrowski. She is a West Sider, and she is standing by right now with Newswatch 16's Adi Iyer. Adi.
Thank you, Scott. I'm here at Clarkie's Billiards in Scranton for Lynn Lebrowski's election party. She's the Republican candidate for mayoral race for the primaries, and she's running against Trish Bainon. Now, I'm actually here with her right now, and we're going to ask her a couple questions about what her day's been like today. Now, Lynn, can you tell me a little bit, like, what have you been doing today?
So my day started at 5 a.m., and I was at the polls when they were supposed to open at 7 a.m. However, the doors were locked until 7:10, so that's how my day started. I spent the rest of the day running around to all the polls, feeding my poll workers, and taking phone calls, text messages. It's been pretty exciting.
Now, Lynn, from what I remember, one of the reasons why you decided to run for mayor was because you saw low voter turnout for the last mayoral race. Can you tell me, you've been to a lot of the polls today, you've seen a lot of people coming to vote. In your experience, I mean, has that voter turnout seemed to have increased?
So it was a little slow going in the morning. It was really cold this morning. It seemed like it picked up in the evening, early evening. I really won't know until the numbers come in, but I'm hoping that we had a better turnout this time than the last.
Now, are you also hopeful for this election? Are you looking forward to some of the polling numbers that are starting to come in?
So I don't have all the numbers, but I did hear that at one of the polling places, I got 48 and my opponent got 22, so that's hopeful. But I've been kind of confident all day and all through the entire campaign, and yeah, I'm feeling good about it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pulaski. Now, we'll come back to Lynn later in the show, but for now, this is Adi Iyer, Newswatch 16, reporting live in Scranton.
At Clarkie's Billiards in Scranton. Thanks very much, Adi. Let's talk about Scranton. That's certainly a political scene you know very well, Corey. There is a challenge to the incumbent mayor on the Democratic ticket. What's going on there?
Yeah, so Paige Cognetti really represents the Chris Doherty kind of faction. I'd call it the progressive wing, the economic development wing of the Democratic Party in the city of Scranton. And Bob Sheridan represents more the school board, the old school board, or the old guard part of the Democratic Party. I think Paige Cognetti has a big victory tonight. I think her battle will be with people like potentially Lynn. I mean, when Lynn says she's up at 5 a.m., she's feeding the poll workers, that tells me she's a hard worker. If she works hard, knocks on a lot of doors, she can challenge Paige in the fall. But Paige is in the driver's seat at this point. From my perspective, I think this is a race that she's going to easily win tonight. I think that Chris Doherty and the economic development and the progressive wing of the Democratic Party is going to win out here tonight. But I think that the fall, you have a Jean Barrett in there. You might have Lynn or Trish in there. Either one of them will end up being a good candidate there. You're going to have 3 candidates that all have some work ethic and that have experience. So that'll be an interesting fall.
Trish Bainon we saw as the other Republican candidate along with Lynn Lebrowski. She actually had some TV ads running. Bob Sheridan had some TV ads running. Mayor Cognetti had no TV ads running. What does that tell you?
Well, it could tell you one of 2 things. One, it could tell you that her and her consultants didn't think she needed to run any TV ads in the primary. That would be my thing.
Yes.
The other thing it could tell you, she's overconfident. I think Paige will win easily tonight. You know, there's a huge Democratic majority in Scranton. I think the bigger question is, you know, how does her opponent show? I mean, you would think as an incumbent she would win in a dominating fashion, 80-90% of the vote. I have people telling me that may not be the case, which to me may signal weakness if she looks at other offices, as is widely rumored that she's looking at a congressional race next year.
Ooh, and there it is out there.
Well, and it's gonna be interesting, right? I mean, you have to get the job done in the office that you're in. I think she's gonna, you know, run away with this race. I don't think it's gonna be close at all. She's gonna be set up well for the fall. I'm not so sure she's gonna have a ton of difficulty in the fall. We'll see, but don't set your sights too quick on Congress. Matt Cartwright gets in there. There's no way she's running. And you know, we talked about it a little bit earlier. It's a difficult message for Democrats. This congressional year coming up here, it's a difficult time for Democrats. Now, Bresnahan, when can you beat him? First time.
Well, I'm salivating for this Democratic primary because you'd have Paige, who's from Portland, and Matt Cartwright, who's from Canada, running against each other. Be fantastic.
Well, and then for Jim Bognet to be in the primary election, that's going to be fantastic, too, against Bresnahan. We're going to have a lot to look at in that race.
That'd be too many hometown boys in one race, I think. We are going to talk, well, now that you've crowned Paige the winner tonight, let's talk to the Sheridan campaign. Our Jack Culkin is with the Democratic challenger at the Waldorf tonight. Jack.
Good evening, Scott, Corey, Jim. We are here at the Waldorf Park Social Club where the signs are up for Bob Sheridan, and friends, family, campaign supporters have gathered here to rally behind the man who is looking to overcome the current mayor, Paige Cognetti, who is seeking her second full term in the office. Sheridan comes into this race as a business owner. He owns DNS Auto Sales on Washington Avenue in Scranton. He's a former first responder, former city police officer, and longtime president of the Dutch Hollow Neighborhood Association. He also served as president of the Scranton Democrat Committee and was president of the Scranton School Board. So he's definitely coming into this race with political experience. Sheridan says that he decided to run due to blight in certain parts of Scranton and also the conditions of the roadways, something that he dealt with on his way to the polling places earlier this morning.
The roads coming in here this morning, did you not bounce all over the place coming in? It's terrible. The blight is terrible. Our crime is at an all-time high. There's homicides all over.
Now again, numbers coming in about a half an hour ago, so we're supposed to see some totals shortly here in this race. The night is still long. We are still got a lot to go on here, but Bob Sheridan will be here at the Waldorf some point tonight, and we'll have much more on this race coming up throughout the evening. Scott, Corey, and Jim, back to you.
Jack Culkin, we look forward to hearing from you throughout the night. Now, as you alluded to earlier, we not only have a Democratic nominee, either Cognetti or Sheridan. We're going to have a Republican nominee, either Bynum or Lebrowski. We're also going to have at least one independent candidate muddying the waters in the fall. Gene Barrett, the former city administrator who ran for mayor long time ago, but he did run for mayor. And Michael Mancini. We could possibly have two, make it a four-person race come the fall.
Look, I tell you, I want to say two things. Bob Sheridan has the right message. I don't know that he can overcome the power of the incumbency tonight, but paving the roads, blight, and crime are winning messages in the right year. I don't know that this is the right year for him, but I think that those are winning messages because if you drive in the city of Scranton, the roads are awful. So the mayor's got to fix them, right? Crime, you got to fix that problem. Blight, you have to fix that problem. That's a mayor responsibility. It
could be the right message, wrong candidate. Not
right
wrong
message,
year.
maybe the wrong. I'm trying to be, not put Jack in too bad of a spot there. He's sitting there all night, right? So, but I'll tell you this: Gene Barrett's going to be formidable in the fall. He is. He's got a lot of experience, so don't count him out. I think he made a very smart move by not getting engaged in this Democratic primary. Be an independent, get in to the general election, and let the chips fall where they may.
Same thing Cognetti did to originally get into office.
That was the point I was going to make. There is some precedent for that happen. The current mayor won that way.
All right, that's something we'll keep an eye on throughout the night, and certainly keep an eye on the Republican side as well, Bynum and Lebrowski. That is going to be interesting. All right, we're talking about some of these judge races. There's also two open judge seats in Northumberland County. We want to take a look at that. Three candidates there. We have a very interesting race in Schuylkill County I want to talk about a little bit, and this really opens the door for another topic. Mike O'Paik is the incumbent DA in Schuylkill County. Now, he has won 2 terms as a Democrat. He has switched to Republican, and now he is running for re-election as a Republican. He is facing a challenge from John Urbanski. Am I looking at the correct thing here? Michael, yes, John Urbanski, the attorney based in Pottsville. Now, Urbanski, this is on the Republican ticket, and this is for DA. What leads a career Democrat to switch to Republican?
Ask Mark Buffalino. right? I mean, it's the same kind of thing here. What are we seeing? We're seeing trending. Look at when you're in the city and you're talking to a hardcore Democrat, they dislike everything that Donald Trump does. But then you get them out in the corridor, or you talk to people on the street, and all of a sudden they kind of like what Donald Trump does. They don't like they don't like how he delivers the message. But the policies they kind of like. They don't want to tell you that on the record, but quietly people are saying that. And quietly people are saying that we don't know what to attack him on because he's doing all these things and most of them are popular. He's trying to, no tax on tips. I mean, who's really going to dispute that in northeastern Pennsylvania? Nobody. And what's happening is that the Republicans are co-opting Democratic issues. I remember when Bill Clinton did it to the Republican Party. And now it's Donald Trump doing it to the Democratic Party. By co-opting these issues, they're co-opting voters, and Democrats have no place to go. So what are they doing? They're switching parties to run to potentially be viable because they know if they run in a judicial race as a Democrat, they're going to get creamed.
Scott, you don't have to be a weather vane to know which way the wind blows. And the wind has been blowing toward the Republican Party in northeastern Pennsylvania. If you look at the Democratic Party, which has a long and rich history, it's really become the party of a few big metropolitan areas. Philadelphia, Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania, and Scranton is one of the few. Scranton is the blue area that kind of held up in this congressional district Matt Cartwright. And as you see people leave the cities, go to the rural areas, they become more Republican. You don't see many Republican office holders becoming Democrats to run, but yet you do see the other trend. I think what that tells you is we're becoming a more and more Republican area of this state.
This also, though, I mean, think about the political calculus here. He's a Democrat his whole career. He switches to Republican to run in a contested primary. Would not he have a better chance to just cruise to his own nomination and take it in a general election?
But he may not think that he will be able to win a general election in the face of a Republican challenger. So better to go into the primary where you have higher name ID, win it in the primary. Schuylkill County is very Republican. Whoever wins the Republican primary is most likely going to win the general election.
I don't think there is no Democrats on the ballot for this.
They're voting for an R. They're voting for an R one way or another.
Yes, but how does that work for him in the primary? How does he sell himself to a Republican primary electorate after he's been 2 terms as a Democratic DA?
I have that answer. I've written it down right here. Uphill battle. It is an uphill battle, but I think it's easier in a judicial race because as a district attorney, he can go and say, I fought hard to put criminals in jail. It's less ideological. It's more action. It's a great point. I don't know a lot of people that are pro-crime that are voters, right? So with a crime-fighting type of message, that wins a lot of races. Look at our own Lackawanna County. What's the way to get on the judicial bench? DA. We've done it for decades now. I mean, the DA has gotten a judicial seat, right? I mean, that has been the career path. So why can't it be the career path somewhere else? So DAs are in a very good position when it comes to judicial races.
And far be it from me to say that politicians may be looking forward to another race. He may be saying it's better to win a hard race as a Republican and reset my trajectory in the Republican Party in Schuylkill County if I want to run for judge or something else than to remain a Democrat in a county that's swinging hard against me.
And it is worth pointing out that Opake ran for county judge in 2023 and lost as a Democrat. This, as Berks County, and the name Michael Opake, our state senator in Reading was Michael Opake for, it seems like my whole life when I lived there. And now another Michael Opake is switching to Republican. And that is like, wow. Cold shower. Yeah, right. Things are changing. Also, here's another one. In Sullivan, Wyoming County, there's one open judge seat, 3 candidates. The DA is not running in this one. The DA is running for re-election. I don't believe he's opposed. That would be Joe Peters. But of the 3 candidates, Paul Litwin, Richard Huffsmith, and Nina Sordoni. Sordoni was running the very interesting ads. I don't know if you saw them, but she said, the president judge says the new judge will be in charge of family court, and I have done family law. I'm the best candidate for this job. Do you think something like that's effective?
I think so. I think in judicial races, unlike other political races, the qualifications with respect to your legal expertise does come into play. And I think that will move some voters.
I agree, and I think she's a very effective messenger. Yeah, her family is from Hazelton, Pennsylvania, where I grew up. I know her family. She is a very eloquent speaker on the campaign trail, and I think as a young mother, going out there and talking about how she cares about family law, it really differentiates you in a race where it's hard to get people to pay attention. It's great to have something that makes you different than the other candidates.
The fact that she's the only woman in the race makes her different right there. In a three-person race, could be effective. Let's talk about another judge race. That would be in Luzern County, and some numbers coming in. Let's see what we have right now. This is on the Democratic side. Buffalino, the quote-unquote Republican. Just kidding. Buffalino has the early lead on the Democratic side over Mosca. I don't think that either of you gentlemen would find that to be surprising.
Nope.
No surprise there.
Here's on the Republican side, Mosca. It's almost mirror image. Mosca has the early lead on Buffalino. Is this what we're going to see? Is this the trend for the rest of the night?
Well, if these numbers hold up, obviously we're going to have a big race come the fall. That is going to be one of the premier marquee races in Luzern County. I would expect these numbers to hold up, but one thing you have to be careful, I could tell you, Corey could tell you, where these numbers come from are important. If these numbers are coming from urban areas, it might favor Buffalino. If these numbers are coming from rural areas, it's going to favor Mosca. So I think it's very important that we wait and see until we get up to about, 30-40% of the vote before we can really lock in.
Yeah, and you know what? I love the politics of judicial races, the cross-filing. I love the whole idea of that from a political science standpoint. You can potentially knock out your competition in their own primary. And boy, oh boy, if you could do that and you're running on both tickets, that's fantastic. But in this kind of race, I think, clearly you're going to have a Republican and you're going to have a legitimate Democrat running in the general election. And here we go all over again.
Yeah, Judge Hamill in Wayne County years ago came out of really both primaries and just wiped the slate clean, won them both, and put an end to this. But personally, we do this show, and we're going to be doing this show again in November. So I would love to have a big judicial race in Luzern County, just so we have something great to talk about.
For sure.
All right, those are the numbers we saw. Just so we know, we haven't talked much about these two guys except the party affiliation. Buffalino is an attorney from Wilkes-Barre, served as the Luzern County Democratic chairman from 2006 to 2011. Had a pretty good long run there, 5 years as the county chairman. He ran for judge in 2011. I believe that was the year there was like 3 or 4 open seats all at once and about 12 or 15 people in the cross-filed in the primary. It was kind of a crazy time, but he did not win, obviously, in 2011. He didn't make it out of the primary. Mosca is an attorney from Dallas, so the Back Mountain, current board chair of the Victims Resource Center. He's endorsed by the county's Republican Party. He's also a Eucharistic minister at St. Teresa's in Shavertown.
I know Tom. Tom's a friend of mine. Tom has a really amazing life story. The son of an immigrant, came, got a legal education, gives back to the community, does some great work with the Victims Resources Unit, is a man of faith, has 2 kids and 2 grandkids. He's a really good person. And he did campaign very much door to door, like Corey was saying earlier. He came down to Hazelton. He knocked on doors, got to know people. And, I've heard good things about Mr. Buffalino, too. I'm sure he campaigned hard. I think this is going to be the marquee race. I can't wait to get to November to see how it turns out.
This is one of those races where you just have 2 good people. Mark Buffalino is a great person who works hard, who's a very good lawyer, and who cares about his community. So you really have people on both sides that I think a lot of people will gravitate toward these 2 candidates, because either way, you're going to get somebody who is a quality person with high character in that office. And that's important in the judiciary. Well, I don't think Luzern County can lose. Mark Buffalino, I think, is fantastic. But either way, I think it's going to be good for Luzern County.
One of those 2 gentlemen is Tom Mosca, and Newswatch 16's Justin Gick is with the Mosca campaign at the venue in DuPont tonight. Justin.
Hey, Scott. Yeah, the mood at Tom Mosca's watch party is hopeful tonight. Mosca, again, is an attorney from Dallas, running against Mark Buffalino, who's an attorney from Wilkes-Barre now. Both of these candidates are running for an additional seat on the Luzern County bench, which was approved by state lawmakers in December of 2023. Both of these candidates have cross-filed. Now, I'm joined by Tom Mosca right now. Mr. Mosca, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Happy to be with you.
So first off, just tell me how you're feeling going in to the early results right now and tonight.
I certainly have a little bit of butterflies. It's been a long day. Started out very cold this morning, but we're excited and anxious as the results start pouring in.
What's it been like to campaign over these last few months?
It's been a journey, and it's been wonderful to get out and talk to people. That's the best part of campaigning, is get to talk to people one-on-one. So I look forward to more of that as we go into the campaign into November.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about that. If you are successful tonight, what does campaigning look like from this point?
It includes some of what's already gone on, attending dinners and other functions, but there'll be a lot of summer fare, the bazaars, the festivals, all those kinds of things where you can get out and meet people and talk to them.
All right, well, Mr. Mosca, thank you so much for your time tonight, and good luck to you this evening.
Thank you very much.
All right, Scott, we'll send it back to you. We're live in Luzern County tonight. Justin Geck, Newswatch 16.
Justin Gick covering that big judicial race for us tonight. Mosca, 62% on the Republican side. Buffalino, 64% on the Democratic side. Looks like we're heading for a rematch in the fall. We're going to take a quick break right now. We'll be right back here. It's 8:45 in the p.m. Our coverage is just getting started. Look at those beautiful numbers at the bottom of the screen. It's going to be getting exciting over the next hour or so. Stay with us here on The Deuce.
NetCredit is here to say yes, even when other lenders won't. Apply online in minutes and get funds deposited the next business day or sooner. NetCredit. Credit to the people.
With Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Don't worry, help is on the way.
With any of Life Alert's 3 emergency systems, help can be summoned immediately, and batteries never need charging.
I was having a stroke, and I was scared to death.
If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today. Life Alert is a lifesaver.
My husband is alive because of Life Alert.
Life Alert is the lifesaver to keep me out of assisted living.
Life Alert saves a life every 11 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-710-1914. That's 1-800-710-1914. Call now, 1-800-710-1914.
FanDuel's My Spend tool makes it easy to view your deposit and bet history all in one place. Betting without it is like shooting in the dark. See the whole picture. Make FanDuel's My Spend tool part of your system.
Are you a Lackawanna County resident who needs a lawyer for a civil legal problem but can't afford one? Lackawanna Pro Bono can help qualifying individuals or families receive equal justice under the law for no charge by arranging for lawyers to volunteer their services. Lackawanna Pro Bono can help with evictions, debt collection, protection from abuse, custody issues, child support issues, termination of SSI benefits, and much more, including for senior citizens, simple wills, powers of attorney, and living wills. For more information, call or go online to lackawannaprobono.org.
Welcome back to our election night coverage here on WNEP 2 and WNEP Plus. Scott Schaefer along with Corey O'Brien and Jim Bognett just getting started. Numbers are beginning to roll in here, so let's take a look at what we have so far. And we'll start right at the top with some of these statewide judicial races. There's one seat open on Commonwealth Court, one seat open on Superior Court. And our numbers right now for Superior Court, we're hoping to show the Republican primary, again, as an endorsed candidate. There we go. The endorsed candidate is Anne Marie Wheatcraft. She is the president judge of Chester County's Court of Common Pleas. She is endorsed by the state GOP, and as Jim predicted, her numbers are strong right now, 56-44 over Maria Batista, who also has ran for Superior Court in 2023 and lost. She's from Clarion County, former assistant DA. Again, also a seat open on Commonwealth Court. There is one Democrat, so that is not contested, but 2 Republicans, Josh Prince and Matthew Wolford. Wolford is there's your 2 candidates for Superior Court, Batista and Wheatcraft. For Commonwealth Court, Prince and Walford, we talked about them earlier. Prince is from Berks County, and he ran for Commonwealth Court 2 years ago and lost in the primary. Walford is the environmental attorney from Erie County. He is the one who's endorsed, and you can see he has the early lead, a pretty strong one right now. So as Jim told us, those endorsed candidates, they're running very strong. You just roll through the numbers here, and we'll go and see what we have here, whatever race is next. We can bring up. I know the Luzern County Council, we talked about the judge race, but the Luzern County Council race is something Jim wanted to talk about. Those numbers are coming in. What are you seeing?
You know, I'm looking at them on my phone right here. We have John Lombardo running first at, well, that's on the Democratic side. The Democratic side is not contested as far as I can tell. They only have 5 candidates for the 5 seats. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are 2 other ones. So I can speak more to the Republicans. Lombardo, former state rep, he ran for state rep, so he has good name ID. If you look at that, you have a slate of establishment Republicans that are doing very well, except for Steve Urban. He is running there in 4th. The top 5 get in. It's going to be interesting to see who comes in 6th. That's the person who's going to just miss making it. That's a very close race right there. Look at that, 12%, 12%, 12%, and 11% for Lescavage, who's an incumbent. So who can get over that, 12% mark and be in the top 5 to go into the fall is going to be very interesting.
And this is Steve Urban, the elder or the son?
The son, I believe.
Okay. Okay. Same name. They've both been in politics a long time, just so we're all clear with who we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And look, when I think about this race, I think about the form of government is awful. It's atrocious. There's no accountability whatsoever, right? You have a council made up of a whole host of people. You have a county manager. The buck stops nowhere. The buck stops nowhere. These people run for council. They get on council. They could just put their hands up, right? And they're, well, I didn't do it. No one's accountable in this form of government. It was a disastrous mistake by the people of Luzern County to form the government, and they've been living under it ever since. The county has totally lost its way, and there's zero direction. So it's great to have people on this council, but they do very little.
The whole idea was to take the politics out of it, if I remember correctly.
Well, just to Corey's point, what ends up happening is the county manager is the most powerful person in the county, which is good if you have a good county manager. But if you had a county manager like we did in 2022 who screwed up an election, they resigned because of that. So unfortunately, you don't have accountability to the people through their elected officials. There's a step in between where they hire the manager. So I think Corey has a lot of good points there, and maybe that'll change in the future.
Listen, there's another point too here. We're never going to pay that person enough. You're never going to get somebody great to be the county manager. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be saying that the current county manager, I'm not speaking with respect to that individual, but I'm telling you, you have to be willing to pay. If you want a county manager who's going to be great and do great things in your county, you have to be willing to pay. And when you're paying you have a county council with all these people, nobody wants to pay anything. You want to get a top-notch government in place? Hire a top-notch manager. What's that going to require? You're going to have to recruit a top-notch county manager from somewhere else in the country and pay them well. Are we going to do that in Luzern County? I doubt it. I doubt it. That's why the form of government fails. Will there be a government study commission in Luzern County to replace, to turn it back to the county commissioners? With the political turmoil of the past, maybe not, but it was a far better government than you have today.
Agree?
Well, I would tell you I ran in 2020 and 2022, and I voted in 21 and 23. We had a string of 3 screwed up elections in Luzern County where there were major problems with the machines, with the ballots. So I don't have the answer, but I'm angry, and I think we need better government in Luzern County.
And again, the whole idea was that we have this big county council with all these members instead of the 2 and 1 as we had for so many years to take the politics out of it. Now you're talking about the insurgents and the MAGA wing trying to take, from the establishment. So are the politics indeed taken out of it?
You can't take politics out of government. In a democracy, politics and government are intertwined, and they've been so since the Federalist Papers that James Madison and Alexander Hamilton wrote in 1789.
And they need to be. They need to be intertwined. You need to be able to replace the people who are in office when you don't like the direction they're going in. You need to be able to do that. Politics is an essential part of our democracy and government. And without it, we have what we have now, which is lackluster at its finest.
All right, again, numbers coming in from a number of races. I see the judge in Northumberland County. If we can call those numbers up, that would be great. Again, one new seat. That'll create 4 full-time judges in Northumberland County. And then there will be another seat vacant at the end of the year when Judge Hugh Jones retires. So 2 open seats in Northumberland County. Here on the Democratic side, Edward Greco, he is in the lead on the Democratic side. He's an attorney from Coltmont. Frank Garrigan is an attorney from Shamokin, and William Cole is a district magistrate serving the Mount Carmel area. Again, that's the Democratic side. Now, they've all cross-filed. We do have numbers from the Republican side as well, and there we see Greco, Cole, and Garrigan. So we could have one of these where one candidate wins on both tickets and the other 2 gentlemen battling it out when we get to the fall. Although that's very, very close. I mean, Garrigan and Cole, they look like they're going to be battling the entire night. Greco looks like he is in certainly a commanding position on the Republican side. Maybe we can take a look at the Democratic numbers again. I'm sorry. I'm putting the control room here. There we go. Greco also a very a big lead there. So I think it's safe to say that Edward Greco is in a position here. Again, the attorney from Coltmont. He's in a strong position to win on both tickets. Garrigan looks like he's in a strong position to win on the Democratic side. So it's going to be, we'll be keeping our eye all night then on the Republican side. If Garrigan can pull that out, then this race is over in the primary and we have nothing to talk about in the fall. So Cole and Garrigan on the Republican side, that is where the race stands right now. Take a look at those Republican numbers. Again, it was very, very close with Cole just ahead of Garrigan by a couple of votes. So, yeah, 28, yeah, only by a couple dozen votes right there. So, yeah, that one's going to be one to watch. Boy, that voter turnout is low. My goodness gracious.
The Democrat side is amazingly low.
Yeah, well, and yeah, you would think whoever wins the Republican nomination is in the stronger position here in Northumberland County. So Cole and Garrigan battling it out on the GOP side. That is going to be one to watch. We talked about county council in Luzern County. Well, now, we don't have these mayoral races in yet. No numbers yet from Scranton. That's going to be interesting to see. I'm just looking at my computer here now as well. Mayor in Archbald, some numbers there. Duryea, 44 at Harvey's Lake, Hughstown, Stroudsburg, and then some council races. So we're waiting on mayoral races. We're just about 1 hour in, gentlemen. Any thoughts as to what we've seen so far?
Well, I will say the New York Times has just called or just projected that Walford will defeat Prince in the judges' race. So obviously, you know, different media organizations call it at different times, but I think when we saw 61-39, that Walford does look like he's in very good position to win that.
Don't know that they're going out on too much of a limb there.
That's right.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how where these votes come from and who stands in the driver's seat. Remember what we're doing here really is we're nominating, right? Mm-hmm. These are party nominations. The primary is all about the party going out and nominating its candidates and wants to nominate, in all likelihood, the strongest candidate that they could put forward in a general election against the other party. So these are really internal party politics. We call them primary elections, but they're really primary nominations. They're really party nominations to see who's going to move forward and run in the general election. So it's going to be interesting to see who the parties believe are their strongest general election candidates.
And while we're talking about statewide judges, there is an effort afoot in the November election to try to oust some of these state Supreme Court justices who are seeking retention. Thoughts on that, Jim?
Well, I'm not a fan of the state Supreme Court. It's been run by a very liberal Democratic majority for the last few years. They have gotten their mitts in everywhere they shouldn't. They took over redistricting, which by our Constitution was supposedly given to the legislative and executive branches, which represent the people. So I would love to see the judges not retained, because I think they've become an activist judiciary, which goes far in excess of its mandate as prescribed by the Pennsylvania Constitution.
Well, I'm an attorney in Pennsylvania, and I follow the direction of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So, and that's the organization that licenses me on an annual basis. So what I would tell you is I think that people should And I think that from a Supreme Court standpoint, that the party politics has to be put aside, and judges have to be fair and impartial. And they have to do the right thing with respect to the facts and circumstances brought before them in individual cases. I think people in politics like to blow that up as a Republican ideal or a Democratic ideal, or, it's a Democratic, judiciary versus a Republican. And depending on where you are in the country and where you are in the state, people will take those sides. But I believe truly, as a lawyer who's been practicing law for 24 and a half years, that I truly believe that the judges check their politics at the door and do what's in the best interest of the litigants in front of them based on the facts and circumstances that are before them. I think that is an important hallmark of our judicial system. I think our Pennsylvania Supreme Court has been following that. Whether you like an individual's politics or not, I truly believe that the individuals who serve on our judiciary, from Lackawanna County on up, take that role and responsibility very, very seriously, that they will be impartial and fair to the litigants before them on the very specific fact pattern that's before them. Sometimes people want to take that very specific fact pattern and then turn that into a political argument. But I just don't see it that way. I think our Constitution plays a very important role in that. I think our judiciary plays a very important role in that. And I think they do their job, and I think they do it well at all levels of government when it comes to the judiciary.
I respect Corey's opinion, but when you see the state Supreme Court getting in and doing a mid-census redistricting like they did in 2018 to change the makeup of the congressional districts, when you see them taking redistricting out of the legislative and executive branch, the only thing you can conclude is they are activists, they are out of control, and they think that they have more power than the voters of Pennsylvania.
Tough to unseat a judge in a retention. I've only seen it happen once.
Very difficult. That's another uphill battle.
Bonus points for anyone who can name the state Supreme Court justice who was ousted in a retention.
Got me.
That would be Russell Nigro. We're going to take a break here at 9 o'clock in the p.m. 1 hour in.
Alex Trebek.
There you go. Don't get me started on the 1978 race for governor, because I'll talk all night. We'll be right back. Stay with us here on The Deuce.
These are just a few of the over 500,000 happy Audient hearing aid customers. They now live a better life because they hear better. And they hear better because they purchased a full pair of Audient Atom 2s for only $189. The Atom 2 is a tiny, nearly invisible over-the-counter hearing aid. They've got unsurpassed sound quality and only $189 a pair. And it's so easy to order. Call Audient.
1-800-617-6091.
NetCredit is here to say yes, even when other lenders won't. Apply online in minutes and get funds deposited the next business day or sooner. NetCredit. Credit to the people.
What I love about this service that Henry Meds provides is hope. I love Henry Meds for a couple of reasons. Very, very convenient for our patients. It's simple. You get online, you're gonna fill out a health questionnaire that we're gonna ask you a bunch of questions about your health history. We wanna know some really specific things. People are having great success.
Do you know why water is so important? We need water to be healthy. Water is home to animals and keeps animals alive and well. The grass we stand on has water below it that connects to water everywhere. Do you know why forests and trees are so important? Trees clean the air we breathe. Trees are home for birds and other animals. Trees protect the water from the sun's heat so the water doesn't go away. You are a part of the earth, and the earth is a part of you.
I've run this place for 20 years, but I still need to prove that I'm more than what you see on paper.
Welcome to the second hour of our coverage here on WNEP2 and WNEP Plus. Scott Schaefer along with Jim Bognett and Corey O'Brien. Primary election night 2025. 2 open judge positions in Monroe County. 5 candidates hoping to secure either of the nominations on either ticket. Newswatch 16's Emily Kress live for us with one of those candidates tonight. That is Jamie Levy, the magisterial district judge, and that would put you at the Sarah Street Grill. Emily?
Hey, Scott, that's right. Election night parties are just getting underway. We're at Sarah Street Grill in Stroudsburg with Jamie Levy. Now, the race for Common Pleas judge in Monroe County, like you mentioned, 5 candidates, 2 seats up for grabs in November. Jamie, the numbers are starting to come in. How are you feeling?
I feel pretty good. Gave it our best shot, and we're waiting for the results to come in.
And as you guys are watching those numbers, the campaign trail, we have to take a minute to talk about that. You currently sit as magisterial district judge covering East Stroudsburg and Delaware Water Gap. How does that help the experience for the potential position?
Well, I think judicial experience matters. I think I'm the only candidate, I know I'm the only candidate with any judicial experience, and I think it's important because we have 2 judges that are retiring and leaving a dearth of experience on the bench. I think it's important to have a judge with experience, judicial experience, to hit the ground running.
And with all of your years in law and everything, what inspired you to take this leap to the next level?
Well, I just want to help people and do the best I can for my community, and I think that elevating from a district judge to the Court of Common Pleas will give me the best possible chance of helping as many people as I can.
Great, thank you so much. Now, we are still watching those numbers come in. Janet Jackson's party is downstairs. We plan on catching up with her as well as the other candidates who are running for judge in the Court of Common Pleas here in Monroe County. Emily Kress, Newswatch 16, reporting live in Monroe County. Back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Emily. 5 candidates, 2 seats, 2 parties, I guess 4 nominations in all. Monroe County Judge?
Scott, if you would have told me in the late 80s when I was sitting in Hazleton watching MTV that Janet Jackson would be running for judge in Monroe County, I would have never believed you. It's nasty. But I think that she was very well spoken, the candidate we just heard from. I do think there may be some gender politics going on here. You have 2 women, 3 men, if there's some split up of the vote in that way. I also think you have different funding levels from what I've read on these candidates. So it'll be interesting to see if the advertising dollars end up translating into votes.
You know, what's interesting to me for Monroe County as a kid who grew up in Reading is just the fact they have all these judges now. I mean, for years, Monroe County was just this tiny little Poconos place with 1 high school and 1 judge. Judge Viken was the judge for by himself for decades, and then they gave him a second one not that long ago, within the last 25 years.
It's fascinating if you look at the population trends over the last 30 years. Monroe County has been one of the few counties in the entire state, along with some of the Philly counties, to see a growth, and especially after COVID, we saw people flowing in from New York and New Jersey, and it's changed the politics of Monroe County.
Yeah, it's also, they kind of fell for this before. After the 9/11 situation, they got a surge of people moving in. They built all these new schools, and they had all the, you remember all the stories about the kids in the trailers because they were bursting at the seams. They built all the new schools. Then the population waned a bit before we got to the last decade, and now we have a lot of schools sitting there that aren't necessarily as needed as they were back then. But to your point, you're right. Monroe County is seeing a growth, and it's changing the politics. You're saying it's becoming more Republican.
Well, I'm saying it's becoming more Republican in the rural areas, but then in East Stroudsburg and Stroudsburg itself, it's becoming more Democratic. So it's taking on more of a big city thing where the urban areas are Dem and the rural areas are very Republican. You see that tension in the voting precincts.
Okay, and we have numbers from where I'm hearing. I know. Monroe County Judge, excellent. Wow, that's great timing. And there's your girl. I don't mean to say that. There's your candidate, Janet Jackson, at the top. And this is on the Democratic side. Let's talk about these candidates. Jackson is an attorney from Stroudsburg. She's also at the Sarah Street Grill, and I believe that Emily said her party is in a different room. So you see, she's leaning at the top of the Democratic side. Kelly Lombardo is a former assistant DA, now private practice. She is at the top there. Alexander Marek has a law office in Stroudsburg, as an assistant DA in Northampton County, but he has some name recognition because he ran for DA in 2023 and lost to Mike Mancuso. So he has some name recognition there, and they are ahead of the pack right now. Patrick Best is an attorney, vice president of the Monroe County Bar Association. He's close on the Republican side. Maybe we can see the Democratic numbers again from Monroe County, if you don't mind. I'm just sitting out here barking orders. Janet Jackson has a real solid lead, and Best there is in the second position. Remember, it's the top 2 on each side. So we have Jackson and Best, then we have Lombardo and Merrick. Oh my, we could have a race in the fall, couldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's so early right now, so we'll see how this all plays out, but we could have a significant race here. This could be one to watch for sure. When you look at the candidates in this race, one of the things that just jumps out at you is the experience of these candidates. You literally have 5 candidates here who all have significant experience. And I thought Jamie Levy put it best when he talked about a significant loss of experience on the bench. And you need experienced leaders moving in there. All 5 of these candidates have significant experience. I'm really looking forward to a general election. I think that this could be one of those races that we're really following moving forward, just based on the fact that we might have several candidates for these 2 spots.
2 Democrats, 2 Republicans running for 2 seats. That would be exciting. Doesn't happen often. One of those candidates is Janet Jackson, an attorney from Stroudsburg, and Newswatch 16's Emily Kress is with her tonight as well, as she too is at the Sarah Street Grill in Stroudsburg. Back to you, Emily.
Hey, Scott. Yeah, we're back again. We just ran down the steps from the upper level of Sarah Street Grill to another room for Janet Jackson's election party. Now, we have her right here. Let's talk about campaigning, getting to today, watching the numbers come in. How are you feeling?
I'm excited. I mean, I'm a little tired. It's been a long campaign and a great day today. We're happy for the wonderful weather. I guess we're going to get rain tomorrow, but we got sunshine today. And so, great.
Yeah, beautiful day to get out and vote. Now, on the election campaign, everyone talked about being fair and impartial and just experience mattering. You have 35 years of experience, and in a recent community forum for the candidates, you used an analogy of baseball about experience and the umpires. Tell us a little bit about that philosophy.
Well, I know that Chief Justice Roberts some time ago talked about how a judge is a lot like an umpire. You may have been used to being the star lawyer or the person hitting the ball out of the park, but now that you're a judge, you're an umpire. You're stepping back, you're being neutral. You gotta know the rules, you gotta watch the game and be neutral, and I'm ready to do that. I've been representing clients in court for 35 years, as you said, and I've been in front of every kind of judge, and I'm ready to step into that role.
And other candidates are also ready to step into that role, but we are watching those numbers come in. We are going to touch base with those other parties, those other campaigns coming up a little later on Newswatch 16. Emily Kress, Newswatch 16, reporting live in Monroe County.
You are a busy lady tonight, Emily. Thank you very much. Here is some interesting numbers coming in, and this is statewide. The race for Superior Court on the Republican side. The Republican-endorsed candidate is Anne Marie Wheatcraft. She was out to an early lead. That lead has evaporated. What are we seeing here, Jim Bognett?
Well, what I think we're seeing is, number one, you have the name ID of Maria Batista, who has run before recently for judge. That seems to be dominating in the rest of the state, besides Philadelphia, where Anne Marie Wheatcraft has a geographic base. So I think this is really a story of geographies. If you would pull up the map and look by counties, my supposition would be that Miss Wheatcraft is dominating in southeast Pennsylvania and Miss Batista is dominating in the rest of the state. Let's see how that plays out. A lot of it's going to come down to what votes are still out statewide.
Yeah, it looks like they're within 10,000 votes there, so there is still some counting to be done. You know, it used to be the conventional wisdom was that there were enough Republican votes in the collar counties of Philadelphia to really kind of put you over the top in a primary. Not the same, not that way anymore?
You know, political scientists talk about this thing called the Great Reordering. Mm-hmm. We've seen that Democrats tend to live in the cities and Republicans tend to live in rural areas more and more, and the suburbs are kind of the dividing line and where the fight occurs. So it makes Philadelphia very interesting. You know, I'll tell you, a lot of people I talk to in Washington, D.C. in the Trump administration think that President Trump won Pennsylvania because he was able to cut into the Democratic lead in Philadelphia. There were a lot of Democrats, including African-American males, young people, who didn't come out for the Democratic candidate, Ms. Harris, in the race. So I guess where I'm going is you're seeing changes in the coalitions, like Corey said, based on President Trump coming in. And I think it's kind of scrambling the old ways of doing things and the old trends we used to see.
And that even translates down to a race like Superior Court in Pennsylvania.
I think it does, because I think Batista is seen as being more conservative, which would help her in the rural areas, and Wheatcraft is probably seen as being more moderate or establishment, which would help her in the Philadelphia county. So I think you're seeing a modulated version of that in this race.
Politics is always organic. It's always changing, right? When Barack Obama was president, you ended up seeing a lot of Democrats running on the hope message, same colors with all of their signs and everything, and the party changed in that direction. When Bill Clinton was in the White House, you saw a party move far more to the middle than it had been in the past. In the Republican Party, when you see somebody like George Bush in a second term, you see Donald Trump now in a second term, you know, they gravitate toward those organic movements. So politics is a living and breathing entity that is always changing. The electorate's always moving here or there. But the politics, for the most part, what people care about the most, especially in these kind of races, are the same issues. If you're running for the judiciary, people care that you're impartial and you're fair. They want you to be experienced. They want you to never forget where you came from. If you're running for school board, if you're running for council, if you're running for mayor, they want you to pave the roads. They want you to pick up the garbage on time. They want to make sure that our law enforcement is strong and has the resources that they need to get the job done. They want recreation. They want parks. They want clean streets. They don't want blight. You know, these issues, they don't change. The names of the people might, but the issues don't. And at the end of the day, on a night like tonight, it's really about those fundamental issues that come up over and over again in local politics.
Let's talk about some races. We are just now getting some numbers in. First would be District Attorney in Schuylkill County, race number 30. If you can bring that up again, Michael Opake running for a third term, but different this time because now he is a Republican and he has a challenger on the GOP side in the primary. That is John Urbanski, an attorney based in Pottsville. And the early numbers show that, well, Opake's gamble seems to be paying off. He has about a 500 vote lead over Urbanski right now. That's 61 to 39, and with a fair amount of the vote in, 20-some% right now. What does that tell you, fellas? The changing of the parties was a good gamble, at least in the early returns for D.A. Opake. No Democrats in this race, by the way, so whoever wins tonight is likely the guy.
We'll see. We'll see how this turns out. Mm-hmm. We oftentimes we get talking and then we see a sea change in the next release of numbers. But a district attorney, I always think, is in a very strong position for a judicial race. They are anti-crime. They're crime fighters. This is a district
attorney race.
In the district attorney race, yes. In a district attorney race, you know, you're crime fighters.
And he can say that I've been doing it.
And he can say he's been doing it.
I can't resist. This whole thing is pretty opaque to me.
Another race, we're just getting our first numbers in. Mayor of Scranton on the Democratic side, incumbent Paige Cognetti running for a second full term. She is being challenged by former school board president Bob Sheridan, and the early numbers show that it is a good night so far for the incumbent mayor. That is race number 100, if you guys can find it back there. But we see that Paige Cognetti is out to an overwhelming lead in the early numbers from on the Democratic side. I guess it won't be long until this race is called. 81%. That would put her in a position where I don't think she'd be too worried about that particular outcome if it stays that way.
Yeah, I mean, this is an 80-90% win for Paige Cognetti, kind of going away in this race. I always think that it's good to have some challenge in the primary. Mm-hmm. I think that helps you in a general election, but I also think that you should debate the issues and debate them in the Democratic Party. So I think Bob Sheridan running for the office is a good thing for the party. It makes Paige Cognetti stronger in the general election, and I think it gives people a voice. So I also think that Bob Sheridan brought up a lot of issues that people care about. I'm just not so sure that this is the year or necessarily the candidate to take on Paige Cognetti.
And Cognetti will be facing one of two women, either Lynn Lebrosky or Trish Bynum. They are the two Republicans who are running for the GOP nomination for mayor of Scranton. Newswatch 16's Adi Iyer is live for us with the Bynum campaign at Cooper's. Adi.
Thank you, Scott. Yes, I'm right here at Cooper's with Trish Bynum herself. We've been talking a little bit about how her day's been going, and I want you to hear it for yourself. So, Trish, can you please tell me, what have you been working on today? How's the day been going?
How's the day been going? It's been absolutely crazy, but it's been fun. I'm enjoying every single minute of this. I've been going precinct to precinct. I've been making sure I'm handing out my cards, getting to know a lot of people. I've been getting some positive information back from everybody. I'm hoping for the best outcome. I'm excited, nervous, and just hoping for the best.
I mean, I can tell that people here are really excited about your campaign here.
Yes.
But tell me, if you do well in this primary, you're going to have to now run for a whole other general election down the line. Are you ready to do that much campaigning?
I am absolutely ready. I have a great campaign committee behind me. I'm more than excited to be doing this and to keep going forward. I want to make sure I help the people, the Democrats, the Republicans, the whole city of Scranton. I have their back. I could do this, and I can make a great mayor for 2026. I'm excited and ready.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Trish.
Thank you very much.
This is Trish Bynum here in Cooper's in Scranton. We'll have more about her race and the other race with Lynn Lebrosky later in this show. For now, this is Adi Iyer, Newswatch 16, reporting live in Scranton.
Thanks very much, Adi. Let's take a look at our first numbers on the GOP side in Scranton right now. Lebrosky and Bynum. And again, these numbers are in 20-some% reporting. And it's dead heat. It's a dead heat. A couple of votes separating the two. Wow, so this could be a long night here between Bynum and Lebrosky in Scranton. That could be interesting and exciting.
What percent in is that?
I see
25 or so?
25%. Yeah, that number is pretty small for us to see there on the screen, but it's 25%, and it looks like just 10 votes, 10, 11 votes separates the two candidates.
That will be a nail biter, and I think very important for the fall. I think it sets up what you said about a Republican opponent for Paige, but also two independents. I think that's going to be a really interesting race in the fall. Now, Paige will go in as a big favorite, but I do think with three opponents, it opens up some interesting possibilities.
It's interesting in any race what an energized base can do. If Trish can take the energy in that room tonight and translate that into votes tonight, and then take the energy in that room and translate that into a ground campaign that can really get out there, knock on every door in the city of Scranton, talk to voters. One of the things she said is she likes to listen to voters and hear what they're saying. If they can do that, you can win. You can win. You don't need to be the party favorite. You don't need to be an endorsed candidate. You don't need to be, the incumbent. You can win. You can be the insurgent. You can be a challenger if you go out there with an energized base. So it'll be interesting to see if either Republican candidate can translate tonight's victory into an energized base. The Republican base is not going to get it done in the city of Scranton. In the general election, they're going to have to cross party lines and be able to convince a significant number of Democrats that they're better than their incumbent mayor.
Think about
tough sell.
Scranton has turned in almost, I don't want to use the word tribal, but neighborhoods are very important, almost more important than parties. Both of these Republican candidates come from West Side. West Side is the biggest neighborhood in the city, biggest block of voters. Could mean something.
It does, and it's bad, right? Because that's both of their core votes are there, so they're splitting that. Probably one of the reasons why they're close in this election.
I'm thinking it could help it. Whoever is the nominee, it will help them in the fall.
In the fall, it helps. It helps. West Siders stay together. I could tell you that as a guy born and raised in Dunmore. West Siders stay together, right? That West Side
is
W.
best.
I can't do it. I can't do it. But they stick together. Right, and they're great people, and they will be a significant voting bloc in the fall.
There's nothing greater than being an invader. We're going to take a quick break here at 9:22 in the p.m. Another nearly 40 minutes of our special. Then we go right into Newswatch 16 at 10. We're going to have all the winners for you. We're going to hear from some of them live on the air. You don't want to go away. It's just getting good.
We need some help.
I know. I'm going to cashnetusa.com. And if approved, we can have the money in our account as soon as the same business day.
Go to cashnetusa.com to apply for the money you need.
Is your shower trying to tell you something? Is getting in and out of the bathtub becoming a safety concern? Are you worried about the cost of a bathroom remodel that could go on for weeks and weeks? Well, now you can have a gorgeous new bath or shower with a one-day jacuzzi bath remodel that's safer at a price you can afford. We're waiving all installation costs and postponing all payments for up to 1 year.
Oh my gosh, it is beautiful. Oh.
From soft close shower doors and adjustable shower heads to features like grab bars and custom seats that combine safety and style, it's never been easier. Get your free design consultation, schedule your one-day installation, and start loving your new bath or shower right away.
Call or go online right now. We are waiving all installation costs and offering no interest and no payments for up to 1 year. Go to jacuzzibathremodel.com or call 800-348-6884. Call now.
Some severe storms moving through.
Heavy bouts of rain, lots of lightning, some small hail falling too.
There's down trees, power lines, and branches.
And it's going to get worse over the next several hours.
Tonight we have team coverage as
the top of this tree broke off, destroyed the roof of a...
What type of tornado came through here? The wind ripping right through this building.
The hail is unreal.
Get ready, it is heading towards you.
Stream extended coverage on WNEP+. Download on your TV and watch for free.
I never got a college degree. Now I'm the CEO of my own company. People want to tell me I'm one in a million, when actually I'm one of millions.
Welcome back to Primary Election Night, live here on WNEP2 and WNEP+. Scott Schaefer, Jim Bognett, Corey O'Brien. We are starting to look at the numbers that are really starting to roll in now for some of these races. We'll start right at the top, Pennsylvania Superior Court on the Republican side. This one has been interesting all night. Wheatcraft out to the early lead. She's the endorsed candidate by the Republican Party. But here comes Maria Batista. Jim Bognett, what are you seeing?
Be noticed all over the state. You know, as we talked about, you have a kind of an insurgent candidate, Maria Batista, against the state endorsed candidate. I think this is going to go to the wire. When we started out, Wheatcraft was way ahead. Now Batista's ahead. I think it's way too early for us to look at this and say we have any idea where this is going to go. I think we'll be talking about this tomorrow morning.
The winner of this will face Democrat Brandon Newman in the fall. Commonwealth Court, also one open seat and only one contested primary on the Republican side. This one has been called. Wolford, the endorsed candidate over Prince, who is from Berks County, as am I, but it looks like this is all Matthew Wolford, and he'll move on to face Stella Sy, a judge in the Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas. She is the lone Democrat running for Commonwealth Court. And so that looks like we're set up for Wolford versus Sy coming up in November. Here are the judge races around here that are pretty interesting. In Luzern County, there's one open seat, two candidates that are cross-filed. Democratic side, Buffalino has been up by that wide margin all night. On the Republican side, it's the mirror image. Mosca's been up by that large margin all night. So it would seem, gentlemen, that we're heading for a rematch in the fall.
Yeah, I'd fully expect that the Republican would win the Republican primary, the Democrat would win the Democratic primary, and then we'd be up for a big fall. This is going to be an interesting race to watch.
Yeah, it really is. That is going to be a heck of a race. We're going to see a lot about that coming up in the fall. So we don't have any finals yet there, but it looks like Mosca and Buffalino are going to square off again come November. More judge races around northeastern and central Pennsylvania. A number of counties have them. Next one we would see would be Northumberland, 2 open seats in Northumberland County, 3 candidates. So top 2 in each primary will move on. On the Democratic side, Greco, his lead has narrowed on the Democratic side. Garrigan and Cole, they're both close, but it's Greco and Garrigan right now on the Democratic side. Greco is an attorney in Coltmont, Garrigan an attorney from Shamokin. And on the Republican side, Greco leading there by a much more comfortable margin, and then Garrigan and Cole again. So Cole, the district magistrate in the Mount Carmel area, he has some making up to do here. If Greco and Garrigan win both nominations on both tickets, then this race is over in Northumberland County. More races, county judge races right now. Our next stop is Monroe County. 2 open seats here, 5 candidates cross-filed on both tickets. In the Democratic side, it's Jackson and Best, with Jamie Levy, the district magistrate, in 3rd place right now, nipping at the heels of Best, but trailing by a couple hundred votes at this point. So again, Jackson and Best on the Democratic side, they are in the positions right now. On the Republican side, they flip-flop the entire race. Lombardo and Merrick are the 2 that are leading right now. Lombardo looks to have a solid grip on a Republican nomination. Merrick over Best right now by 3 percentage points, a couple hundred votes. Best, if he could somehow creep into the Republican side and keep the Democratic side, he would be on both tickets, and that would put him in a strong position. But right now, it looks like the 2 Democrats and the 2 Republicans are going to be are different in Monroe County, and that again is going to make for a heck of a race come November. But judge races all over the place tonight in northeastern and central Pennsylvania. Our next stop is, drum roll please. Oh, Mayor of Scranton. Okay. This is one we've been talking about all night, too. On the Republican side, now Bynum has moved out to the lead over Lebrowski, but only by a couple dozen votes, as you can see. But we're up to 67% reporting. Bynum over Lebrowski right now, the winner, likely taking on incumbent Democrat Paige Cognetti. She is challenged on the Democratic side, but she is well in front. She's at 78%, I believe, the last numbers I saw. We'll keep an eye on this Bynum-Lebrowski race, because that is going to be the interesting one to see who will take on the incumbent mayor. And again, as we've been talking about all night, there will be at least 1 independent, perhaps 2, come November, just to add a little spice to the whole witch's brew that will be the general election in Scranton. Numbers coming in, and you guys can roll them as quickly as you can get them. We'll talk about them here. There we go, and we've talked about these races again. Wolford is now projected as the winner. That one was not even really that close.
One of the things that you have to think about in these kind of races with Wheatcraft and then in the Wolford race, there are 2 endorsed candidates. How much do endorsements really matter? Candidates like endorsements, they'll take any endorsements they can get. But how does that play? Does it really matter? In a statewide race, I think it probably matters more than it does in a local race, because there is some infrastructure that candidate could potentially have based on that endorsement. It's going to be interesting as to whether or not it really has played a factor here. Wolford, did it play a factor? Did it provide him with a statewide network that he would not have otherwise had? Mm-hmm. Wheatcraft, statewide network that she may not have already had. It'll be interesting to see where the endorsements played.
But Jim talked about the great realignment. Is that what you called it? Because I know, again, I go back to, I'm a history buff of Pennsylvania politics, but it had always been the conventional wisdom that the party endorsement did not mean anything for the Democrats. It meant something for the Republicans in the primary. Go back to Democrats who have won statewide primaries without the endorsement of the party. In fact, running against candidates who did have it. Catherine Baker Knoll. I believe Bob Casey in his first run for state auditor general did not have the state party endorsement and won the primary. So, just 2 examples right there. But the Republican endorsement always seemed to matter more. Am I right or wrong?
I think you're right historically, but looking ahead, what's very interesting is in 2022, the Republican Party did not endorse a candidate for governor in the primary. There were like 11 people running. Right. It was debated heavily at the conventions. There were some of us who wanted the party to endorse Lou Barletta from Northeast Pennsylvania, who I think would have made a great governor. They did not. I think they ended up regretting who won the primary that year. If you talk to the folks in Harrisburg, they will say that it dragged down the ticket of people that were running this year. So the reason I bring this up is what happens in 2026. There have been a lot of people mentioned as maybe running against Josh Shapiro. Does the Republican Party step in and anoint a candidate as their endorsed person to try to clear the field? Or do they let it play out like they did in 2022 to ill effect?
And there's another bigger picture than the endorsement. It's who raises the money. Who's out there early and raises the money? Because you can clear the field just by doing that. If you go out there early and you just raise all the money and you gobble up the endorsements and you talk to all of those factions and get them on the team, that race is over. You don't need the party to do it. A candidate can do that themselves. And oftentimes that's what happens. That the endorsement, from my perspective, typically doesn't carry a lot of meaning. But what does is who hustles the most and gets that early fundraising. Because think about it, you have to convince these articulate individuals who have a lot of money that you're the best candidate for the job. That's not an easy job interview. Every time that somebody is going and asking somebody to contribute to their campaign, they're asking them to buy in to who they are as a candidate and what their message is. And these business leaders are thinking to themselves, am I backing the right candidate or not? It's an articulate approach and one that will clear the field naturally if somebody gets out early and does it. That's where I think we're more likely to see a candidate come out of the Republican Party than to see an endorsement that just clears the way. We're going to probably see a business leader from somewhere, I'm not sure from where, who's going to have some independent money, who's going to want to be in the race, and they're going to drive the agenda early on. I just have a feeling we will see that. I don't know who it's going to be this time around, but we have historically seen figures like that emerge. We'll see what happens here.
I think Corey makes some strong arguments there, and I will say the most powerful endorsement in the Republican primary is not the Republican Party, it's President Trump. So it's going to be very interesting to see if President Trump steps forward and anoints a candidate for governor at the beginning of the process, or does he wait and see how the candidates do running against each other and then weigh in later as he did in 2022.
If you were betting men, who's going to be the leading Republican candidate for governor next year? I have you here. I have to ask.
Well, I will say that the two names that you hear the most about are Dan Muser, one of our local congressmen, and Stacey Garrity. Both of them would be, I believe, strong candidates. Both of them have wide support across the state. You do hear some business leaders mentioned in the great whisper, as they say. But right now, Stacey Garrity and Dan Muser, I would say, are the two most likely to get in the race, and both would be strong candidates.
Dan'd be strong, but I'm hearing Jim Bognet's in the race and that he's going to be declaring soon. That's what I'm told by my sources.
Neither Garrity nor Muser ever had an ad as effective as you kicking the football. Still one of the best local ads I've ever seen.
You know who that was against? West Scranton.
There you go. So obviously there is something greater than being an invader, at least that night. Oh, where are we, gang? Tell me numbers here. We were talking about judgeship, so whatever is the next race that's up. Pardon me? We're going to take a quick break. I'm sorry, 9:35 in the p.m. We get talking politics, and I lose complete track of everything. You guys are not good for me. We'll be back real quick here on The Deuce. Don't go away.
You're turning 65 or retiring soon, it's time to consider your Medicare options.
I picked Geisinger Gold because I've always had Geisinger, and I would trust them with my life and my family.
Geisinger Gold Medicare Advantage plans start at $0 per month, with access to more than 30,000 doctors and 180 hospitals across Pennsylvania. Plus, plan options that may include dental care, eyewear, and hearing benefits. If it's time for Medicare, learn about the many benefits of Geisinger Gold.
Oh, yeah, dude, that doesn't look good.
I know what to do. I'm going to cashnetusa.com. I can apply in minutes, and if approved, I can have the money as soon as the same business day.
Go to cashnetusa.com to apply for the money you need.
I'm ready to build my future.
I'm ready to help others.
I'm ready.
Hi, it's Christina again. I'm here to tell you about an all-new special offer. Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has a design you'll love at a price you can afford. We're waiving all installation costs and postponing all payments for up to 1 year. And best of all, they can install it in as little as 1 day with no stress and no mess. Take advantage of this special TV offer today.
Go to jacuzzibathremodel.com or call 800-270-9089. Call now.
When news breaks, watch WNEP Plus. See the story as it's happening. Be on the scene, faster than ever before. Live updates from the team you trust. Stream breaking news on WNEP Plus. Download free on your TV.
Welcome back to primary election night here on WNEP2 and WNEP Plus. We have another 22 minutes or so before we smooth right into Newswatch 16 at 10. So our election night coverage will not end. No need to go anywhere. We'll have a full recap then on Newswatch 16 at 11 over on WNEP. Let's take a look and see if there's been any change in Luzern County right now. 1 open seat for judge, 2 candidates. They're cross-filed. All night long, these numbers have not changed at all. Buffalino, the perceived Democrat in the race, winning on the Democratic side. Mosca, the perceived Republican in the race, winning comfortably on the Republican side, setting up a possible rematch with these two gentlemen again in the fall. This is going to be 11 county judges in Luzern County. This is an additional seat that was approved by state lawmakers in December of 2023. 11 county judges in Luzern County. It is the most populous county in our viewing area. One of these two gentlemen is going to be the 11th judge. Mark Buffalino is one of the 2 candidates. He is at Leggio's in Dallas, and that is where we find Newswatch 16's Justin Gick with the Buffalino campaign. Justin.
Yeah, Scott, that's right. We moved over to the Buffalino campaign, and they're feeling really good about these results. I'm joined now by Mark Buffalino. Mark, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
My pleasure.
So first, tell me just how you're feeling tonight, just with the results that are coming in.
First, we're very grateful for all the wonderful support that we've gotten throughout this campaign, and the volunteers that we had today that put in a terrific effort, and this party is really for them. But generally, we're feeling really great about the results that are coming in so far. Obviously, we're still tracking them, but right now we're feeling good.
What's campaigning been like for you over these last few months?
It's been great. You know, the people of this county are salt of the earth, and having the opportunity to interact with them on a daily basis, literally almost like on a nightly basis, has been as much to benefit to me as it is to them.
So what happens from here?
So we wait for the results, and we'll see what those hold, and then we'll adjust from there. If there's a general election, then we'll ramp back up and keep doing what we've been doing for the last 4 months.
You know, and finally, what's your message, I guess, to the people of Luzern County?
So our campaign is based upon experience. I mean, for the last 30 years, I have been a trial lawyer. I've been where you would often find a judge, which is the courtroom. I've tried civil cases, criminal cases, and so that's our experience, and our track record speaks for itself.
All right, well, Mark, thank you so much for your time, and good luck tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Scott, we'll send it back to you. We're live in DuPont, Luzern County. Justin Geck, Newswatch 16.
Okay, thanks very much, Justin. Here's a question. Now, these two gentlemen run as cross-file candidates. Now they're going to be running under party labels in the fall. How does that make their campaign different?
Well, they'll try to make it not be a factor.
Right.
I mean, what Mark Buffalino is going to do is he's going to run for judge. He's going to, I think, run away from the label and just run on experience, because he has experience. Mm-hmm. He's a proven leader in Luzern County, and he has great experience. So I don't think that in the general election, yes, the D is going to be on the ballot, but I don't think you're going to hear Mark Buffalino talk one time about or say the word Democrat one time. I'm not so sure that Tom Muska is going to be really talking about the Republican Party. He might, maybe a little bit, but I doubt it. I think they're going to run on experience. I think they're going to run on impartiality, fairness, and they're going to do their best and try to build the networks that they already have. But I'm not so sure that people are going to be running under the label. Tom, I think, is a little bit more likely to do that than Mark is, just because from a demographic standpoint, I mean, there are more Republicans now. I mean, Luzern County is a Republican county. Just make no mistake, that's where the county is. So you're much more likely to see a Republican kind of push more toward that. But I think the Democrat, you won't hear the word Democrat.
And let's remember that this is going to be a turnout race. And now that the Republicans have more of the registration in Luzern County, I think you'll see the state Republican Party, the local Luzern County Republican Party, remind people that Tom Mosca is a Republican, and probably remind people that that Mr. Buffalino was a Democrat and was the Democrat chairman. So that's going to be really interesting to see how they thread that needle, the candidates reacting to what the parties are doing around them.
Yeah, and I think if I'm Mark Buffalino, I just totally ignore it. Right? I'm running on experience. I'm running on a track record. I'm running about courtroom and being in the courtroom. And I'm not talking about that at all. If I'm the Republican in the Republican Party, I'm doing exactly what Jim said. I'm painting him a Democrat, the Democratic committee, Democratic old school party boss. That's the campaign.
We started this program at 8 o'clock talking about ballot questions. We have not talked about them, but we do have numbers coming in, and we can see them starting race 300, 301, 400, those races, if you can get them up there. Starting in Hazleton, where the government study question was the first one on the ballot. And it looks like yes has the early 60 to 40% lead with I can't tell much what the percentage of votes in, but there we go. 60 to 40 on yes. The question here in Hazleton, shall a government study commission of 7 members be elected to study the existing form of government of the city of Hazleton? So there is certainly at least some motivation early on by at least a couple dozen to perhaps look at the
But only 420 votes in. I mean, one of two things is true. Either we're very early in the votes coming in from Hazleton, or very few people decided to vote.
Yeah, well, don't we always have to wait for the last bus load of votes from Hazleton, last truckload of votes?
There's something else going on here. If you're the average voter, I would think you're voting no, because it's really a study of whether or not you want to be a home rule charter and be able to raise taxes. That's why they're doing it. However, there's 12 people running for 7 seats on the study commission. So when you have all those people running, they're actually driving people out to vote, and they're going to vote yes on the study commission because my friend is running for the study commission.
Right.
So I have a feeling what we're going to see here is we're going to see the study commission probably get approved. The candidates, the 7, will be selected, and then the study commission will come back and decide whether to go home rule or not. And depending on the mixture and you know, the politics of the 7 people, that'll either raise taxes or won't raise taxes.
Let me go one level deeper. Jeff Cassat, who I played football with at Hazleton High School many years ago, is the mayor of Hazleton. He's running on this commission. Some of his political allies are running for this commission. So it's very clear that Jeff and his allies want it to pass, which leads me to believe, and I haven't talked to him about it, that they probably want to make a change into the way the government. So that's the kind of going deeper under the numbers.
And I'm sure they do. If you're in government, look at they're limited to 30 mil tax. That's it. They're trying to fund the government and provide the basic services, and they've probably run out of money. And they don't have any other options. And now they have to study government to do a home rule charter to be able to impose a higher tax rate just to be able to deliver core services. That's probably the real issue behind it. Now, I'm not a fan of the tax increase. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of giving them necessarily more money, but that's probably the reality that they're facing.
The other, from one city in Luzern County to another, Nanticoke also has a ballot question. Should the city of Nanticoke home rule charter be amended to eliminate the section which reads members of city council may not serve more than 3 elected consecutive terms? These numbers a bit more decisive. It would appear that residents of Nanticoke like their 3-term limit just the way it is.
As it should be. This question only comes up in northeastern Pennsylvania, where you have members of council putting forward their own question to try to get themselves longer terms in office. This is crazy. And I think the voters are delivering a clear message tonight.
Hill, you get some Republican-Democrat agreement. I am strongly in favor of term limits. I think that this is good. I think all too often people get in office and think they're indispensable. And as de Gaulle said, the cemeteries are full of indispensable men. The more people we could bring out to get involved, the better.
That sounds like news anchors. There are four townships in Lycoming County asking the same question. Do you favor the issuance of licenses to conduct small games of chance? Cascade, Gamble, Mifflin, Porter. Here's Cascade. Yes, is a big winner so far. Look, are those numbers 43 to 22?
47-92 on this one.
Gamble Township, the early results are no. Mifflin Township, the early results obviously very close, but leaning no. And Porter Township, so two of them right now are saying yes, and two of them are saying no of the townships in Lycoming County. I'd almost like to see that map, because there was a cluster of two down to the southwest of Williamsport and two northeast of Williamsport. I wonder if it's a geographic thing.
This is the Jim Bognet effect. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's where you have arch conservative Republicans who just don't like gaming, who are going to go no. And then you have everybody else. And the everybody else are the people who want to play bingo at the local fire hall. Mm-hmm. And it's just that simple.
Well, Corey and I have been betting on these races all night, and I think this is what you would call a push.
And to answer my question is no. The two no's and the two yeses are split of the townships and where they are located. So, well, again, it's early, and there are more votes to be counted in those townships, but interesting.
Who doesn't want bingo at the church hall? Who doesn't want bingo at the fire hall? I wonder if it's
something more than that. I wonder if it's more the skill games at the convenience store, the gas station. I wonder if it's more that kind of thing. Obviously I'm not in Porter or Gamble Township right now.
Well, I will say there's some pushback. In Hazleton, these skill games in Hazel Township exist, and you go into a local mini market and there's 8 dudes there in your way playing games. They don't look like the most reputable of characters often, so I think that you do have some blowback sometimes on these kind of really close to the ground issues.
Well, and we've seen people get in trouble over the years who are in politics putting those machines in these kind of establishments, right? We've seen that.
Former state attorney general comes to mind.
So the question on the small games of chance are really, what are the small games of chance? Are we talking about bingo? Are we talking about slot machines?
If you can convince them it's bingo, it's going to pass.
Yeah.
But if you convince them they're going to destroy your mini mart, it's going to fail. So that becomes the framing of the race.
Yeah. There you go.
Because I don't like that either.
Yeah.
He's big on bingo, though. In Laceyville in Wyoming County, do you favor the granting of liquor licenses? We don't have any numbers for this one yet. Oh, my goodness gracious. One of the folks in Laceyville, we're looking forward to hearing from you. 10 minutes to go before we morph into Newswatch 16 at 10. From what we're seeing so far, gentlemen, any thoughts, final thoughts?
Yeah, I think it just plays in terms of what we're talking about generally here. And really, when I look at it, you're looking at the candidates, you're looking at their networks, you're looking at their fundraising ability. But there's this overlay of Democratic and Republican party politics. And what's going on at the national level and the state level. I used to always say on the show, and I've said it here for maybe 10 years, that Tip O'Neill will always say, all politics is local. I'm wondering if that's starting to change a little bit. Are the national politics permeating down to the local level? I don't think they are in council. I don't think they are in school board. I don't really think they are in mayor. But above that, statewide judicial, some of these other races, maybe they are. Maybe they are. If a president of the United States comes out endorsing candidates in judicial races, could you imagine?
I want to hear, Jim, I want to hear your thoughts. We have to take a quick break. As soon as we come back, we hear your thoughts. Quick break. Again, we'll be right back here on The Deuce. Don't go away.
NetCredit is here to say yes, even when other lenders won't. Apply online in minutes and get funds deposited the next business day or sooner. NetCredit. Credit to the people.
At Consumer Cellular, we pride ourselves on giving you fast, reliable, nationwide coverage at up to half the cost of the leading carriers. But don't worry, we've got more than that going for us. Like this beautiful store in Arizona, for example. It's the perfect place for me to tell you a little bit more about our phones and how they can become your phones. You name it, we probably got it. We have the top smartphones from all the major companies. If it's state-of-the-art cameras you want with space-age metal housing, we got them. If you want a smartphone with lots of bells and whistles but won't break the bank, we've got that too. We even have a flip phone, like the Iris Flip. We even have watches. I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have one of these amazing stores in my town yet? Can I get these phones sent to me?
Yes, you can.
Is it easy?
Easy as pie.
Plus, new customers can save $25 when they switch today. Call 1-800-918-5352 or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
She knows what she's talking about. Pick up the phone.
What I love about this service that Henry Meds provides is hope. I love Henry Meds for a couple of reasons. Very, very convenient for our patients. It's simple. You get online, you're gonna fill out a health questionnaire that we're gonna ask you a bunch of questions about your health history. We wanna know some really specific things. People are having great success.
As part of its public health mission, the scientists and staff at FDA work to protect the American public by getting the accurate, science-based information they need to use medications wisely.
Coming down the stretch of our live election night, live exclusive election night coverage, I might add, here on WNEP2 and WNEP Plus. Jim Bognett, your final thoughts.
Well, I agree with what was just being said. I think one of the things, the most important thing going into the 2026 elections is, can President Trump maintain the level of enthusiasm and turnout that he did in November 2024? That's what strategists across the country are looking at. As we look at the results tonight, it'll be very interesting, especially in these cross-filing races, to see the total number of Democrats versus the total number of Republicans that came out. Do we see any flagging of Republican enthusiasm, or is it just as high, which kind of matches President Trump's poll numbers, which are pretty high right now? I think that is the key question on who will win the governor's race and who will win these very close congressional races in 2026.
Something to look out for. We are getting very close, as I understand, to hearing from the two candidates in Scranton who are going to be declaring victory on their respective tickets at this point. There we see the numbers right now with Fairmount reporting 53 to 47. Looks like Trish Bynum is going to be squeaking this out. And there you see the numbers on the Republican side, 1,700 votes between the two of them. Bynum is the West Sider, works as an accounting executive at a construction company. Lebrowski also lives in West Side, but she owns an automobile repair shop on South Side with her husband. And this has been a spirited battle tonight, but it looks like Bynum is pulling it out at the end. And we do expect to hear from Trish Bynum coming up shortly. We also expect to hear from Mayor Paige Cognetti in Scranton, who is going to declare victory on the Democratic side, and quite a large victory at that, as she seeks her second full term. Let's go now to Trish Bynum. Her campaign is at Cooper's in Scranton, and I believe we're going to hear her make a victory speech.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming here tonight. I am so excited, so happy. Thank you to everyone, all my supporters, everyone in the city of Scranton who believed in me. I'm so happy, so overwhelmed to say that I won the primary, and I appreciate everyone's help. Thank you. And I also want to thank Lynn Lebrowski for doing a fantastic job running against me. She's a sweetheart, and I hope we work well together in the future. And I just want everybody to know that I will work as hard as I can through this whole entire next part to become the mayor of City of Scranton. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming out and supporting me. Thank you so much.
Trish Bynum is your Republican nominee for mayor of Scranton. I venture to say, and I don't mean to paint the GOP nominee it's kind of damning her with faint praise, really, but she would seem to be, on paper, the strongest Republican nominee in Scranton for the office of mayor in quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to say, right? I mean, Paige Cognetti is the incumbent mayor. She is going to declare victory with a huge margin tonight. She is going to be going into the fall, the hands-on favorite by a gazillion votes, right? So I think that the Republican candidate, she's going to do her best, but she is going to, be against a formidable foe in the incumbent mayor, and that is difficult to overcome.
No doubt, yeah, no doubt. She's up for an uphill battle, but I'm just saying, I mean, given some of the other, this is going to be a tougher race than Cognetti faced 4 years ago.
Well, both of these candidates have run a good race, and they're both hard workers. So that always has to make you a little bit nervous, right?
And Jim brought it up. Paige Cognetti is from Oregon?
Portland, Oregon.
So how much is that going to play a role? I don't know Biden's, if she is a native of Scranton, but presuming she is, how much of a role does that play?
Well, she's won three elections. She's won a few elections in the city of Scranton with that pedigree. So I don't know that it's played much of a factor.
I don't think it affects much in like he said, in a third election, but in a well-financed congressional race, it certainly could play a role.
No doubt.
Look at candidates. The Republican Party in the congressional races are going to be running candidates with Joe Biden. I mean, they're going to tie them together, and it's very easy to tie together very closely. Matt Cartwright with Joe Biden and Paige Cognetti with Joe Biden. Nobody's closer to him, so that's what that race is going to be all about. It's going to be interesting to see if the Democratic Party can come up with fresh faces with new ideas, because the current ideas generated by the Democratic Party aren't working.
You know, it's interesting he says that because 2 years ago, Paige was appearing in videos from the Oval Office with Joe Biden, and that seemed like a big benefit to her because Joe Biden was the president of the United States. And when I ran against Matt Cartwright, I attacked him with pictures of him and Joe Biden standing with their arms around each other. It's amazing how quickly in politics things flip.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, I mean, 4 years ago, I'm sure there were Democrats tying candidates to Donald Trump, thinking that would be detrimental to them. And in that year, it might have been. I don't recall anything in particular. But now, to your point, things change.
I recall it because I was running in 2022, and my opponent, Matt Cartwright, did attack me and say I was close with President Trump. So it is interesting how quickly it turns around.
All right.
And how quickly it can continue to turn. The race is still a little bit off.
We have successfully completed 2 hours of our live election night coverage here. We are expecting within the next couple of minutes to hear from Scranton Mayor Paige Cognetti. That seems to be next on the hit parade in terms of our winners and losers. But we already have two winners. That would be Matthew Wolford, the Republican nominee now for the one open seat on Commonwealth Court, and Trish Bynum, who will be the Republican nominee for mayor of Scranton. We do expect that Paige Cognetti, the incumbent, will win easily on her side, and we'll be hearing from her momentarily. But next up here, officially, is Newswatch 16 at 10 on WNEP2. We will continue with our live election coverage throughout Newswatch 16 at 10. We will then perhaps take a break, perhaps not, but we will be back on WNEP with Newswatch 16 at 11. Full recap of everything that's going on. We should know all the winners by then. So thanks for being with us for these 2 hours. Don't go anywhere. Our coverage continues on WNEP2 and WNEP+.